Okay, so the way that you get to the issue is we have, if you can see my screen, can you see the screen that has the Sheepshead review on it right now? Can everyone see that? Okay, so the way I did this is I went from the Sheepshead review website over to issues. I'm on the website, and I went to issues and I click that, just the top issues part. And then I scroll and I come across this beauty right here, and then I hit read now. So that's how you'll get to it. If somebody in this class is logged on, if they can copy that link out and put it in the chat, that would be ever so helpful for everybody here. So anyone who is in this classroom or on Zoom, if you can get to it and put the link into the chat, that would be great. I know it's absolutely gorgeous. Thank you. The comment in the chat was a great cover. It's really beautiful art throughout. So if someone, Hannah, I don't know, you or someone else who's logged into the Zoom, if they could, or someone in the class, you got it? Great.
Thank you.
Ethan did it. Thank you, Ethan. So the link is in our chat right now of how to get there directly. The other thing I want to show you, which doesn't really, I mean, this is not like a fundraiser. It's just if you like merch, like this is something we do, is we were really taken with the design for this issue. And so if you are interested in having any kind of like keepsake or shirts or stickers or anything, we have an artist shop at threadless.com. We don't use it as a fundraiser. So if you aren't inclined to get merch, then and you just feel like, oh, I should do this for the group. Like, I mean, that's not a great reason. I mean, I appreciate it, but we don't use it as a fundraising entity. But Elsie McElroy is our designer for this issue, and the art is incredible. And so you are certainly welcome. When you click on one of these, it'll take you to like a zillion options, and you can customize and get, you know, a skateboard or shirts and lots of different kinds of shirts, and you can choose colors and all kinds of stuff like that. And so these elements do exist for you that you can check out if you wish to. So I'm going to put that link. I'll put that link in the chat myself too, but that does exist as a place for you to keep celebrating your incredible work and hard art and writing.
If it's taking you to the spring edition, you can click on official Sheepshead Review just down below, the link to the page itself, and then you can look at all the past ones, but we're only going to be looking at the current one.
Yes. Okay, so that's out there. I'll post that later on too, in case that one passed you too quickly, and we'll make sure that you have the opportunity if you'd like to celebrate. If it's taking you to the spring edition, this link should take you right to, let's double check it. Yeah, it's there. So the link in the chat that was posted by Ethan Kraft should take you right to that. Is that working for you, Michael? Okay, you got it? Great. All right, it's great to see so many contributors here. All right, at this point, I am going to stop talking and hand things over to our editor-in-chief and managing editor. First up will be our managing editor, who will be the MC for this. Go ahead, Hannah.
All right. Well, I appreciate that all of you are able to come to this, especially on such short notice. We did have that accident with the wrong time being sent out, so I am very glad to see that everyone was able to make it. As Dr. Meacham said before, we do have a lot of staff that are online right now. So if you are part of our staff and you are online, could you put your hand up so that our contributors and other people who have joined us today can see all the people who have also worked on it?
Oh yeah, raise hands.
I know there are also a lot more in class. If you guys want to come over here and say hi, feel free to, because it's going to be a pain in the butt to try to get it everywhere.
You guys can share.
Come here, say hello, say hello.
NASA stuff or a lot of
Besides
people
me.
here. Oh my gosh. This is great. Good job. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to get a picture of that. And then I'll get a picture of the staff. Good job, guys. All right. Thank you.
Just slide right back out, right?
So we've had a lot of amazing staff help us out this semester on this journal. They have gone through all the submissions. They've made their choices. And they've picked what they had the most fun reading this semester. So we are very, very glad again to have all of our staff and all of the contributors here with us today, celebrating the launch of our journal. I'm going to put it over to Jer, our editor-in-chief, and he's kind of going to talk, he's going to go through his editor letter her editor-in-chief letter and kind of talk a little bit about the journal then.
Okay, is it going to, I'm just gonna start talking and see at some point, there we go. Okay. I am just gonna be reading this off straight verbatim from the issue, so if you wanna follow along, I don't know. Welcome to the fall 2022 issue of the Sheepshead Review. As an undergraduate run journal, as Meet just said, our staff underwent huge changes when our top editors graduated in spring 2022. For this issue, the only remaining staff members from last semester were me and Hannah and our layout editor, Elsie. I consider myself incredibly fortunate to have had these at my disposal, as without Hannah's indomitable work ethic, in spite of my insistence for her to take a break, and Elsie's stunning artistic creations coupled with her patience for our uneducated aesthetic requests, the issue would not be nearly as amazing as it is now. The space theme was born from one such amateurish request, as it came up during a brainstorming session, coupled with the idea of printing white text on black paper for the aesthetic of it. We felt it oddly fitting that we chose to characterize a semester in which we all, including our resilient staff of newcomers, were exploring new ground with only the logs of our predecessors to guide us as an exploration of the endless expansion of space. When we announced our theme to the fall staff and began preparing everyone for the inevitable fight over which genre would claim the coolest icon, satellite, spaceship, planet, or shuttle, we were so caught up with the stars around our heads depicted by Elsie's gorgeous artwork that we hadn't considered one piece of feedback we received: fear. As a fantasy novelist by passion and hopefully trade one day, space has always been a frontier and a source of wonder for myself, as the mind does not experience the void's vacuum when exploring its expanse. But that is not the reality. The fact of the matter is that space is a source of infinite unknowns and unending darkness, punctuated only by pinpricks of light. It is understandable to be afraid in such conditions, but fear does not excuse us from necessity. Space will only exist as an unknown until our eyes fall upon it, and therefore we must do so. In order for us to walk the path to the future, we must first pave it. Last semester, Hannah, Elsie, and I were just a group of fiction fanatics discussing submissions, but when Dr. Meacham, our advisor, pulled me aside and asked me if I wanted to be the editor-in-chief, my reflex was, no, of course I don't want to plunge myself beyond the atmosphere to fall into the unknown, but everybody else was graduating and I still had a few bricks and semesters left to lay. I would like to thank each member of our staff for sticking with us in this deeply exploratory semester and selecting a compilation of submissions I am proud to be associated with. I would also like to thank all of our contributors for providing such wonderful creations, including a poem about the exploration of space, which was entirely coincidental, and you, the reader, for supporting our journal and allowing us to make these journeys into the unknown to learn something about ourselves and the universe around us. I hope the experience within is I can't read, is as enlightening for you as it has been for us. Enjoy. Sincerely, me, Jerzy, the editor-in-chief.
Ooh.
Thank you.
So thank you, Jer, so much for going and talking about your editor letter. I'm not gonna lie, I did not realize I was in the editor letter. I have not read it once. I've just been a little busy. We are going to be getting our our layout editor in here, hopefully in the next like 5-10 minutes. But right now she is not able to be here. She's coming from another class. So I think we're gonna open it up to one of our contributors. If there's anybody who would like to talk about their piece, we can go into that. We can find the page it's on and you can kind of just go over it before Elsie, again, our layout editor, can do so. So are there any contributors that would like to, be the first person to take that step and kind of talk about their piece? Oh.
I'm always happy to go first. Just get it out of the way. Speaking of fear, like
It's okay, I always have my
just-
Zoom face on.
You always have your Zoom face on.
Bennett, did you want to go instead?
So Michael, go ahead.
All right, it sounds like it's me. Okay, so thanks for having me, guys. As you probably already know, I am not in college at Green Bay, but I saw your guys' journal through Submittable, and I loved the work that you guys were putting out. And So I submitted, and you guys picked one of my poems, and I'm really appreciative. Phase 2 is a response poem. So for people that aren't familiar with response poems, a lot of us who read poetry and love poetry, like, get in a mood after reading somebody else's poem and are like, I need to say something about that, or I need to like feel that in my own words. And so that's very much what phase 2 is for me. Dilruba Ahmed wrote a beautiful poem called Phase 1. And this is my response to her poem, Phase 1, in my own look at what forgiveness means when approaching the self and when approaching myself. So am I supposed to read it, or did you just want me to talk about it?
It's up to you. If you would like to read it, we will definitely let you read it.
We want to hear it.
Happy to read it.
Hey.
All right, so this is phase 2, after Dilruba Ahmed. For leaving the car unlocked last night, I forgive you. For imagining catastrophes instead of living your life. For the succulents that ateliate now, unpotted, on the counter, I forgive you. For saying yes first, but screaming no in your spirit. I forgive you for suicidal visions after marriage brought on by loss of family. And when your husband held you together for your angry rebuke in the kitchen, why don't you love me? I forgive your letting dishes overtake the kitchen, for fearing your own capacity for positive emotions, for leaving, again, your laptop at home in Antioch, for the equally mindless drive back on the rage-fueled regression. I forgive you for leaving new library books on the couch and letting the rabbit chew them, again. For putting forth only your shiny best self for your therapist instead of the terrifying chaos. I forgive you. For writing mostly where the pages conceal your voice. For so admiring the dancer, you failed to see the dance. In forgotten coffee cups, may forgiveness gather, congregating in laundry hampers, collecting on unmade beds, a great cloud of witnesses from eternity, relieved of shame and petty responsibility. With them, a flurry of wings, 8 swallowtail butterflies, holy water reserved for healings and prophets. I forgive you. I forgive you for feeling anxious and vengeful without reason, for bearing the Holy Spirit with such torpor you worried you had perhaps no tongue of fire at all, for treating your sister with apathy when she deserved complete attention. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you for growing a capacity for compassion that is great, but matched perhaps only by your imposter syndrome, for being unable to forgive others second, so you could first forgive yourself and at last find a way to become the home that you want in this world. Thanks, guys.
That was incredible.
Yeah, that was incredible. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
the brave one to go first, and for submitting to the journal. This was a wonderful poem to read and to kind of get to know the reasons behind the poem itself. So is there anybody else who would like to go right away? It looks like we're still waiting for our
Yes,
layout.
please. Hi.
Okay.
I am sorry. Hang on. Can I get my computer to agree with me today? Yes, my computer agrees with me today. Jared knows exactly who I am. Let's get that one.
Hello, Allison. I love you. It is great to hear from you.
We're just gonna get that one out of the way. Also, it is Peppermint Day, as like the last week before holiday break. So do not judge me for my beanie. I will come for you over that. I am way too hyper on peppermint mocha, find somebody else to come for. Today is not the day. So I am at work, and the problem with being at work is I don't know how long I have, which is why I asked to go sooner rather than later. So this piece was actually inspired by a piece of irony. A lot of people don't know this, but Galileo was very focused on Jupiter. He was incredibly focused on the main planet and also possibly a couple of its moons. So much so that when NASA needed to create a satellite to explore those moons and Jupiter, they named it after him. They named it Galileo. And that satellite ran well past its lifespan. And when they could no longer control it, when they could no longer connect to it, instead of tarnishing Titan and its atmosphere, which might actually have frozen water, they crashed it into Jupiter itself. So there was something uniquely beautiful about this man who wrote concise, ridiculous amounts of documentation over Jupiter. And now there's a satellite with his name on it, buried on its soil. There's something about that. And then when you combine that with other things like kids trying to write letters to Santa, and they'll never actually be able to get it there, it becomes this beautiful heart aching thing that I couldn't help but see. I talk a lot, Jared knows this. Anyways, love letters from Jupiter. Unrequited, like all the letters we meant to send, but we never did. All the texts sent in flurries, just to be left unread. Thousands of children's wishes caught in a system whose deliverance to a specific northern place cannot be met. A one-way path to exile shared by letters to God, addressless. Wishful thinking that their words may make it across a gilded desk we might never see. Is it the thought that counts, or the message back greedily retrieved? How ironic it is that a satellite named after a man who so loved the planet and stars would then kiss itself into the surface of Jupiter, sending one last signal a full hour later because the distance yawned its wide mouth across the expanse, delayed like the understanding of the existence around us, to bridge a horizon only allowed to be half-heartedly known, delayed. The way each night Galileo, while watching the skies, meticulously jotted notes about the red spot down. For an audience he'd never meet, for an audience that could never write back. Just as his satellite peeped one last time, a delayed adieu received through the light year's reach. If a satellite crashes into a planet and no one, not even the oldest of long lost scientific minds, are around to hear it, did it make a sound?
Wow, what another amazing poem that we were able to hear. I loved, again, being able to kind of get to know the background about it, because I think it adds so much more to it. I never would have known a lot of that stuff, especially, about Jupiter. I'm not very good at history or science. So that was wonderful to hear from you. Thank you for reading your poem out loud, and thank you for submitting to our journal. Yeah.
Okay, so this is Dr. Meacham just popping in real quick to say, you might have heard that it sounded like Jer and our most recent poet knew each other, but I wanted to make sure that everyone on screen that's a contributor understood our process a little bit.
I was just about to talk about that,
Do it.
because it definitely sounds like I purposely put in one of my closest friends. I did not know that this piece was even submitted until it was selected by poetry staff.
Yeah.
So the way that this all works is we delegate out to the different genre staffs, and then they are led by an editor. As I referenced, I was fiction editor last semester, but now I'm in charge. So they go through and they take all of these submissions, which everybody sends in, and then they select the best few, and then they tell them to me that we want to accept these. So it was not until the moment when poetry had told me we want this to be in that I realized, hey, I recognize that name. I helped her revise this poem last summer. How did we accidentally create a journal in which it fits perfectly?
Yeah.
So it wasn't, while yes, I had seen this poem before, I had told her to submit something because we did the rounds of telling everybody, submit to the journal, we need pieces. That was as much of a hand as I had in this. This is not me being,
An emperor.
yeah, what's nepotistic, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
It's standing on its own as a wonderful piece, which was seen by more people than I. I just hit the final button that said accept, and that's as much of a hand as I had in this.
And I think it's important to know, getting into sheep sub review is hard. We have submitters from our own campus who are pitted against nationally. We've had the Poet Laureate of New Zealand published. We're an international journal of the arts, and we have hundreds of submissions that come to us every.
Yeah, okay, Rach.
Okay, I know, I'm getting tired of me too. We have hundreds of submissions that come in every semester, so we get like about 1,000 or more per academic year. We put out 2 issues a year, so it's a great honor to be selected, but we also have a lot of levels. Everyone on staff signs an ethics contract about how to keep the work confidential, how they're supposed to react to work if they know someone. And as Jared's saying too, he doesn't have any idea what's going on until his final opinion comes in to then accept or question the judgment of the staffs. And I don't think we even had any of those issues this semester here. So just to let you know, like, you're like, what is this thing I'm in if you've not heard of our work before? So you should.
And if I could chime in, when I went to JARE for revisioning support, I was in a grad English program working on my undergrad. And this poem was actually in fragments. It was not a whole. It was 2 or 3 separate pieces that were all trying to talk about a similar thing. And I just went to him to figure out what parts made sense and which ones were doing the heavy lifting and which ones were not, because I don't want to have things that don't carry weight to them. So Jared, when he saw this, it was kind of garbage, if I'm honest.
Well, you definitely turned it around. It's really beautiful.
All right, Lynn, I see that your hand is up.
Yes,
Yeah, is there anything that I can help you with?
well, is there a way to display the poem? I don't know which page it's on.
Yeah, we can get it up.
Okay, so your title, please.
Out of balance.
Okay, what page do we got?
We go
One
back
moment.
to the.
And if anyone else is in this class and on screen, if you want to repost the link directly to the issue, so Ethan, if you can do that, repost it one more time for.
I got kicked out.
Oh,
Okay.
Shared it. Get it? All right, Kat's got it. So if you're looking for the issue and you just joined, the way that our Zoom works is that if you just joined, you don't know what the chat is usually before. So now, if you want to go right to the issue, it is on page 65. So go ahead, Lynn.
Okay. Well, this one combined an actual incident in which I apparently was suffering from an episode of inner ear trouble, which is what brings on Meniere's syndrome, which Jonathan Swift suffered from. So that's part of the background. And the epigraph is from the tombstone in Dublin Cathedral. He's gone where savage indignation will lacerate his heart no further. I'm walking sideways and forwards like a sailboat tacking this way and that, giddy from something in my ears or brain. Somehow furniture and door jams keep getting in my dizzy path. Is this Meniere's disease? I drop anchor on the sofa and try to read. My eye falls on 2 million children perish annually because malaria drugs offer no profit to produce. Though lying flat, I'm vertiginous, seasick. Oh, Dean Swift, things haven't changed enough since your modest proposal to fatten and roast Irish infants, otherwise destined to starve. Today, even without your Meniere's vertigo and nausea to goad you, you would be savagely indignant, knowing that the god greed, like Goya's Saturn, still snatches up his own children with both hands and devours them. And the The reference to Goya is I think a well-known painting or drawing of the god Saturn eating his god and goddess offspring.
Yeah. Wow, that was a very powerful piece. Thank you so much for reading it. And again, thank you so much for submitting to the journal. Bennett, I see that your hand is up. Are you looking to read your piece now?
Yeah, I'd want to read my piece.
All right. What is it titled?
So I wrote a poem. It's called Hair of My Head, which is kind of appropriate because I've been up for only a couple hours and my hair is still quite naughty. So yeah, I wrote this piece kind of sort of like summer after my first year of university, just kind of being introduced to poetry. Like I'm still kind of starting to find my confidence in what I'm writing, how I perform it. And sort of this poem came out of a lot of that kind of anxiety in high school. And depending on what your experience is, when you get out of that, you kind of have to find your voice. You kind of have to find your confidence again, because depending on how it was for you, it can be a bit of a blow to that. So I wrote this poem sort of about something that I was a bit self-conscious of for a long time, which was my hair. And so I decided to write a poem about it, and I'll read it for you right now. Okay. I used to hate my hair, this tidal wave of curls, splayed in any direction, dangling down over my eyes, comb resistant, not infested, and God, don't make me think about what would happen if I got gum in it. Stuck in coifer caverns are bits of petrified spearmint from middle school, but I love it. In high school senior year, I spent nearly every day until graduation with a hat or hood up, desperately defending my due on hot summer days. My sweater was a sauna, my wool toque contained the great deluge. My classmates took refuge from a putrid stew of BO and weak Dove antiperspirant. I was a miscreant, all to conceal my hair, to keep it contained, but I love it. I looked in the mirror, palms pressed into prayer, speaking into dead air to any power in the universe or nondescript cosmic deity. Please God, Santa Claus, Satan, great dreamer Cthulhu, please anybody make my hair flat. I hate my curls, I hate them, but I love them. Someone kisses me, brushes their hand through a thicket of rank brunette brambles, only for them to unclasp from my mouth and whisper, I love your hair. I winced both from the remark and after they ran their thumb through a nest of knots. It's okay, I say back, silently thinking of how much I want my toque, baseball cap or hood wrapped around my skull, covering it up, removing it from the equation. No one else, henceforth, shall bear witness to my head of hair, wig of wool, crusty cowlick, foolhardy fringe, malicious mane or quixotic coif for one more second, but I love it. You see, something changed, school concluded. All of it stupid, many nights spurned by Cupid, Alberta humid, heat exuded into a tiny bedroom, secluded, not reputed, instead deep-rooted, inside a safe home, no more bullies, growing pains, or being excluded. I was unsuited to this space where every face would be replaced. A gift from grace, but then there's the displace, and while I'm not here to debase myself, fuck this so-called home, I'm off to embrace a new place. And being away from family takes a lot out of me, and here I go to a great huge world, debt, rent, utilities, schooling, mistakes, the state of my living facilities. If I'm off to where I'll have close to nothing, if I'm gonna have nothing, I might as well own something. Gloves are off, so is the toque, the hat, the hood. So shit will suck more than it should. In the meantime, I might as well look good. Thank you.
I personally love this piece. Again, it's weird for me to say it like, oh, I love this piece, because then it sounds unethical. But it like mirrors my own experience in high school in the exact opposite. because I had a lot of hair and I wanted to have a lot of hair because I hated my head. So it was the opposite. It's not that I didn't want the hair on my head, it's that I didn't want my head with the hair. So then I had super long hair to try to hide the fact that when I went into middle school, my round head grew up, not out. So then I was just this weird tall beanpole that was no wider at any point in my body. It was just a straight line. So I tried to get a whole bunch of hair to like figure it out. And then eventually going to college, I was like, I don't want any of these people from high school to recognize me ever again. So I cut my hair and realized that it didn't look too bad anymore. So I absolutely love the one, like, hey, here's this other person who had the exact same experience that I had, but in the exact opposite way. But also how the cosmetic changes can change with you over your life.
Yes, definitely. I actually also had a weirdly similar experience with that.
Yeah,
Again,
green hair.
I've had a lot of colors of hair. However, I cut my hair short all the time. And I loved it, but other people did not. And people just kind of suck sometimes. So I kind of know that feeling of you love your hair, but you hate it at the same time. So a wonderful piece that I do feel like a lot of people in some ways can relate to. Thank you so much for reading it. And reading it to all of us. And thank you so much for contributing to the journal this semester.
Yeah, thank you so much for organizing.
So now we have Melissa Ridley Elms.
Yeah, hi, thank you so much. I wanted to say, Bennett, that I really identified a lot with your piece as well. And I thought I would continue the discussion of childhood memories. My piece is a creative nonfiction piece. And I've been doing a lot of excavating of childhood memories related to bullying for a poetry project that's coming up. But in doing that, of course, I've started with the kind of memoir pieces and little short memory bits. And so this is a creative nonfiction prose piece that hopefully someday will also inspire a poem for the collection on bullying. And this one's called The Yard Sale. It was Saturday. In the American South of my childhood, yard sales were always on Saturdays because Sundays were for church. And it was mid-spring, late May maybe, a morning so muggy already sweat trickled down the backs of my legs as I walked among the tables covered with heaped up cast-offs, clothes and dishes and trinkets and tchotchkes, all the things our wealthier neighbors didn't want anymore. It was early and there were not many people yet, and I was bored. I was always bored at yard sales, which we frequented because my practical mother was always on the lookout for cheap used jeans, because you're just going to rub holes in the knees anyway, which was true. An active child, I was hard on jean knees. I wandered off to look at the little table of toys on the side, not many, because this particular neighbor's kids were teenagers. The daughter babysat us, which was why I desperately hoped my mother wouldn't find any jeans for me. More than once I had the distinctly unpleasurable experience of being told those were my jeans, but my mom got rid of them by someone I knew, and I wasn't keen to repeat it. Age 12, a girl can only take so much reminding of her place in the world. Call it pride or ego. I was increasingly reluctant to go into other people's bathrooms to try on their kids' old jeans. My mother called it uncooperative, said, "You're being difficult, and you wouldn't like it very much if you didn't have any jeans without holes in the knees to play in, would you?" That was debatable, but I didn't say so. She might not be aware of my limits where it came to wearing secondhand clothes, but I was well aware of hers where it came to patience with my smart mouth. I'm not sure what led me to dig around in the small pile of stuffed animals in the middle of that toys table, especially since doing so was certain to lead to parental rebuke. I told you not to touch anything, but my memory is absolutely clear on this. The stuffed fox I found there, fawn-colored, fluff-tailed, somewhere between newish and velveteen rabbit levels of shabbiness, was the most perfect thing in the world. He was just the right size for adventures, fitting neatly in the palm of my hand and on my shoulder, ideal for confidences and secrets nestled against my neck. That first sight of him brought my imagination into sharp focus, and I saw us, together all our days, traipsing through the woods, crafting dens, watching cartoons, sleeping with books. He was mine before I dug into my back pocket for the 2 quarters that constituted all my worldly wealth. My mother's initial dismissive objection, "You don't want somebody else's used stuffed animal," fell on deaf ears. I knew she was wrong. This was not someone else's stuffed animal. He was mine. She tried again, appealing to my ego. "Don't you think you're getting to be too old for stuffed animals?" No, I didn't, and I told her so. Next, she tried for reason. "You have too many stuffed animals as it is, and you never play with them anymore. Why do you want to waste your money on another one?" I didn't bother explaining that this wasn't about playing with a toy. It was that I'd found my best friend. I gripped him tightly in the crook of my arm, where he warmed against my skin, as though he were coming to life right alongside me in that moment. We belonged together, and that was all there was to it. My mother would just have to understand, and if she couldn't understand, she'd just have to accept it. After a brief standoff between us, pragmatist versus idealist, she relented, unwilling to engage in yet another test of wills and perhaps hoping it would sweeten my temper for trying on jeans. In that hope, she was right. I didn't care what else we bought or whose jeans I wore, as long as this fox came home with me. He was instantly the most permanent thing in my military brat's life. His name was Foxer, and I was not too old for him. In truth, he appeared just in time to help me grow up.
Really hope that the audio picks up the applause. Like, I think it's really important that the contributors hear how much the staff absolutely loves your work. And so I really hope you can hear us clapping. It's really a nice sound in this room.
Yeah, that was an amazing piece to read. I went to a lot of yard sales as a kid, definitely getting, secondhand clothes. And while I was never lucky enough to find, my best friend, I have a lot of good memories from my neighbors having them and being able to kind of just hang out there, whether or not I was able to get something. So thank you so much for reading it. And again, thank you so much for contributing to our journal this semester.
Thank you for the opportunity to share it.
All right, Elsie.
Everybody give a hand to Elsie.
Yeah, we're looking for Elsie.
Right over here. I'm gonna see if the camera can pick her up. Come roll over to Hannah. Like,
Yeah.
All right.
You get to stand up like you didn't want to.
Back down. So do you want to introduce who this is, Hannah?
So this is Elsie McElroy, as stated before in Jer's editor-in-chief letter.
This is
Yes.
Elsie McElroy.
Yes, we were the only remaining people from last semester's journal. Again, all on fiction staff.
Yep.
So Elsie got to be our layout editor for the semester, which was kind of putting together everything you've been seeing, the artwork, like the journal. I mean, the only thing I don't think she did was actually write the stuff.
Close-ups of the icons.
Oh,
Let me see what I can do here. So I should be sharing my screen with the look of the journal. And I will go, I don't know how much I can zoom in. I can try. But this cover, which blew us away. Then moving through, each of the genres has their own little icon. Let's see if I can. Oh, yikes. Okay, I guess you can see that. So we have a satellite, a planet. Okay, I gotta go down, sorry. Space shuttle and a little alien dude in the spaceship. And then of course, some of us had personal favorites among the selection. Let's see if I can get a page. Is it here or is it?
I think it's a little
back.
earlier.
yeah, I think it's bad.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go.
Oh, the Mars rover. So, okay, so we also have a way, so we're a very comprehensive journal in that we have like emerging and established writers from all over the world. And so to denote the extra categories, the shooting stars are specifically UWGB submissions. And remember, those are pitted against contributors and submissions rather that are from all over the world. So it's a pretty hard gig to do if you are submitting from on campus. But also this little guy, the high school submissions are denoted with a rover as well. So we do like to have high school, if high schoolers submit, we do like to be able to publish them, and this is the way they're denoted too. So you can see those as well. All right, so Elsie, do you want to tell us a little bit just quickly about the process or like how you came up with concept? Because it's not like we came into this or Jer or Hannah came into this with a sense of what they thought they wanted to do.
I'm not exactly quite sure of where Jer has talked about in terms of the concept, but I initially came to the concept of suggestion to the table because of my younger brother, who's very obsessed with space. He constantly, whenever we choose movie nights, picks space-related movies such as Interstellar or Apollo 13. So this is a bit of like, I was thinking of him when I was suggesting this as a concept. The process that goes into this, essentially come forward with a bunch of sketches and initial ideas, and then they can choose my fellow peers can choose which ones are actually acceptable or like which ones they want to go forward with. And then from there, I then go into like Clip Studio Paint, which is a drawing program. And then I actually render out these sketches so you can see like little astronauts and things like that. And then they go from there, the genres, to pick out which ones that they want to have that represented. So each of the colors and the little imagery was picked out by them. From there, it's pretty much just rendering out the rest of the journal in InDesign, which is an Adobe product. And then going and trying to make it sure it all fits in 120 pages in that kind of ordeal.
Excellent. And if you love the design or the look, again, I will put the link in the chat when I get a second to do that, or if someone wants to go to Threadless and throw the link to our merch in the chat. You can buy stickers or skateboards or shirts or whatever with these designs on them as well. Incredibly cool stuff. I've ordered like 16 different types of them. Like I need a hoodie, and then my husband needs this thing, and then I need stickers, and so I love the merch myself.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be getting a sticker on Friday once I get paid. So unfortunately, not able to sport that right now.
Yeah.
But I will be at one point, even though you guys will not be able to see it. So, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Just thank you for this opportunity. It's been wonderful to work on this, and I hope that it's good enough to represent the peoples that it are in here.
That's the other thing about working with Elsie is she doesn't know how brilliant she is.
Exactly.
So yeah, a round of applause.
The origin for the enormous spaceman on the letter from the editor picture, there's basically a story for every single illustration in this journal. And the one for the spaceman is I hadn't written my letter to the editor yet, and we needed a placeholder for that page, and Elsie just had this little spaceman with the question like, do you want this guy, Jer? And I said, yes, absolutely. I'm gonna write my letter from the editor, and then I want you to fill the rest of the space on the page with the guy, the spaceman.
That's right.
So he's now my favorite. He's my best friend.
Lonely out here. I think I see other contributors in. Do you want to give a call?
Yeah, so I know we've got some more contributors on Zoom. Is there anybody else that would be willing to talk about their piece, read their piece, whatever you are most comfortable doing?
Yeah, I'd be down to talk about my piece. Let me just start video. Okay. So my piece is just because someone is a pigeon in a corporate drone doesn't mean they can't fall in love, which is a really long title. And it fully started as a joke because like there's like the meme of like birds aren't real, birds are like a spy for the government. And me and my friends always like joked about that. And one day they were just like, yeah, birds can't fall in love. And I was like, I'll show you birds falling in love. And then I sat down and wrote this piece. So yeah, it is a fiction story, and I will read it right now. All right. Drone 6468 is a pigeon. There is nothing remarkable about drone 6468. He has gray feathers, red eyes, and orange feet, just like every other pigeon. The feathers around his neck, pink and green, iridescent, glisten like one of BP's oil spills in the soft foam of the ocean. He's programmed to know about all of BP's oil spills, but he's not programmed to think about them. Drone 6468 is programmed to do many things and not think about any of them. He is programmed to look in windows and listen through walls, noting everything he sees and hears. He is a pigeon, so nobody suspects he is a corporate drone. He chews at them and they toss him salty McDonald's French fries and he knows their secrets. Some of them are scared of him and make wide berths when he passes. Others chase him down alleyways and toss pebbles at him. He tries not to let this bother him. He's not programmed to think, let alone feel. Drone 6468 knows everything about everyone in the neighborhood he patrols, block 1810. For example, he knows that customer 3888, who works at Bed Bath & Beyond, likes orange cats and Barack Obama and migraine medications. He reports this information back to the boss, who sends customer 3888 ads for microplastic socks with orange cats on them and stickers that say, "We are the change that we seek," which Obama once said, and essential oils that claim to cure migraines. Drone 6468 dives after his shift in the dumpster behind customer 388's apartment and finds Panda Express leftovers. He eats the orange chicken and wonders if this makes him a cannibal. But then he is not a bird in the same way chickens are. He is a drone made of scrap metal and wires, invented by the boss in his garage in 1994 to spy on you. He was built in a factory in Taiwan, the chemicals used to produce him giving the workers cancer and costing the boss millions in lawsuits. He made up for the loss when he sold them their chemo, without which they would have died. Drone 6468 hears someone land behind him as he eats, wings fluttering, claws scraping against the pavement. He coos in greeting and turns to face the newcomer. It is drone 2534 with his eyes the color of great value clover honey and white feathers rubbed gray from smog. Drone 6468 does not call drone 2534 by his drone number. He calls him Clover because his eyes look like the honey great value sells. And Clover does not call drone 6468 by his drone number. He calls him B after BP because his feathers look like an oil spill. Would you like to share this orange chicken from Panda Express with me? B asked Clover, nudging the slimy lo mein with his beak. It is only a formality. They have dinner together every night. I do not believe it is cannibalism, as we are not chickens. Yes, I would like to very much. Clover hops over, flapping his wings, and tears a piece of orange chicken from Panda Express. They fall into their normal routine, pecking over their shared dinner and then settling into the nest they share on customer 3888's fire escape, a Converse shoebox full of bits of cloth from Joanne Fabrics. They nestle against each other, savoring their shared warmth. B realizes all at once that before he and Clover found each other, they always used to sleep alone. During the night he was always cold. And it wasn't that Clover produced any warmth. They were both robots, cold and lifeless. No, he was warm from the inside out, like his system was overheating, like something was wrong with him, irreparably wrong. The next day after his shift, B flies to job headquarters. He places a maintenance order for his broken parts and waits in the lobby with other mangled pigeon drones, some with missing eyes from bored cops with 2 big guns, others with 6-pack rings tangled around their necks like nooses. He waits until his drone number is called and then is escorted back into a room where 2 technicians cut a slit in his stomach and open him up, examining the wires and coding inside him. What did it report its problem as? Overheating. Weird, there's nothing wrong with it. The technicians sew B up again and he flies back to block 1810, where Clover is waiting for him with a large, thin slice of Papa John's pepperoni pizza. They share it and settle in for the night. Clover, do you feel warm? B asks. Of course I feel warm, Clover responds sleepily. I always feel warm when I'm with you. Why? Our systems are not programmed to feel warm. We were not programmed to feel anything at all. Clover shakes his head and wraps one wing around B's body. We were not programmed to talk either, and yet we can't. Go to sleep, B. B sleeps. The next morning, he receives a request that his maintenance order has been reopened. He flies back to job headquarters with Clover still asleep in their nest, leaving the warmth behind him. Once there, he is quickly ushered to the same back room and the same pair of technicians, or maybe a different pair. He cannot tell, for they all look the same in their blue uniforms with a smiling design on their jacket. What's wrong with this one? Didn't we fix it yesterday? Asked one technician as she cuts another slit in B's stomach. We didn't find anything wrong with it, the other technician replies, brandishing a shiny red pair of pliers. But the boss told me into the office this morning. He reviewed the case. He said it's defective. There's something wrong with it? It's what he said. It's learning me to feel. And before drone 6468 can even utter a chirp of protest, before he can tell them about Clover and his warmth, The technician with the pliers leans down and cuts the wires, connecting his heart to his brain.
Oh. Wow, that was, I'll get to you in 1 second. That was really like good to like read through. Oh my gosh, I really loved all this, specific details in there. As I was on fiction staff, I do love just all the fun things that can go with fiction. So Mia, you have your hand up.
Yes, I just want to let the author of this piece know that there is a dating sim game with 4 pigeons, a pigeon dating sim game.
Are
that
you
can
talking
play.
about the teleport boyfriend?
Yes.
One of my partners is like super into that game, and that is a lot more morbid than you would think.
Look, I'm just saying it exists. I haven't actually played it. My friend has, and she suggests it.
Wow.
That was good to know.
We're learning a lot.
Yes, we are.
He wants to start a discussion as to whether or not this could be placed into nonfiction.
Oh,
That would be
Brackets.
so funny. Submitting this to nonfiction.
that would be great. I will say too, just from my perspective, if Jer as editor-in-chief is removed from the process, I'm even more removed, and my job is to keep the machine going, the machinery of workflow and support and move everything through. And we do have some assignments, of course, that we do in this class, but when I heard this title, I'm also a fiction writer. And I will admit, I was laughing, but I was also like, oh, that's brilliant. I wish I had come up with that myself. So really well read. That was a really great piece.
It might also be the only piece in the table of contents which wraps around on the next.
Elsie's like, oh yeah, I formatted that, I remember.
It is definitely the longest one. There are a few that wrap, but it is the longest.
Yeah, so we are nearing the end. Is there anybody else that would like to share their piece with us today? Oh,
I'd
thank you
just
for
like,
by the way.
I would just like to thank you so much for including my artwork in your journal. I was really happy. I just took up photography, so thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, what's up?
I would make a comment about this, so I don't know if you can like see or hear me from there. But yeah.
You gotta come over here.
Exactly.
So tell them who you are.
So, my name is Autumn, I'm on Bizart staff. And Gloria, if you didn't come, I was gonna point out your piece because Jazz Club was one of my favorites. It was one of the first pieces we saw. And I immediately loved it. And like so much so that like we're at the end of the process and I wanted to point it out. I think it's just an amazing piece and I love all the detail in it. So very good work. And I'm so glad we got to include it.
Thank you so much. You made me feel great.
Can you tell us about your process a little bit? I guess I didn't realize this was a photograph. So.
It's originally a photograph. When the pandemic began, I took it up. I wanted to be able to go out and do something alone and creative. So I took a photo of a small restaurant and then I put it through several paint programs till I knew the gist of what I wanted. I wanted to kind of look like dancers and musicians and just dancing and having a great time. And I knew I wanted it to give a feeling of jazz. I'm a real jazz fan. So it came out just the way I wanted it. I probably could not do it again.
It's one that we had earmarked for maybe being a 2-page spread, and there was, I forget, there was some resolution, there was some issue there.
Oh, I used a point and shoot camera and I didn't know how to enlarge it.
That's okay.
But in the meantime, I bought a new camera.
I wanted to let you know, like those 2-page spreads are like, they're a place of honor because they take up 2 pages in the issue. And so that was the BizArts was like, oh, this is the one. And so, so just know that how much your work was absolutely loved by staff. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for contributing this piece. I've loved to kind of overhear all the conversations with staff when I'm around there about the pieces that they have enjoyed. It's been an amazing time kind of getting to know all the pieces and all the people in this class. So for anyone who did not know, we do have our Facebook page, our Facebook event live right now. That is our synchronous portion of this launch event. So if you would like to post something about your published work on that page, it should be viewable to everybody. That way, anybody who was not able to make it today for countless reasons can, learn about your piece and get to see what it is that you worked on. You can post a video, you can write up a little like blurb about it. It's going to be open until 10 tonight. That'll be Central Standard Time. So,
and also the video from this piece, once it's processed, it's going to take a little bit of time to process and then for us to upload, but it will exist on YouTube and we'll repost the link on our Facebook page. So we'll direct you. It's a lot slower for us to update our website than for our Facebook page. So if you're interested in seeing the video, and we'll make sure that an email goes out to all the folks that couldn't make it, you can watch this launch or give it to people check the Facebook page late tonight or tomorrow. Great.
So I want to thank every single person, staff and contributor and just guests for coming to this launch party. It has been wonderful being able to work on the journal, even though I'm not on the specific, genre staffs anymore. I hope that everybody does another round of submitting once I don't know if you could submit a piece now for our spring journal.
Keep your eyes open.
Yeah, yeah.
Come back to our website soon.
Yes, so keep your eyes open for that. We hope to see people once again trying to submit to our journal. And I thank everybody for coming here today to celebrate that with us.
Yes, thank you so much. Round of applause. And if you are a contributor, we will be sending out a notice as to when the print journal will arrive. We're always able to get the issue up before the print journal. So that should be mailed out sometime in January. The reason being that we have a whole interim semester where like everybody leaves and then comes back like late January. So we should be mailing it out at that time when we have humans to do that work. And if we get it earlier, we'll get it to you as soon as we can. So thanks so much for coming. It's been great. Jerry, want to say parting words?
Yeah.
Say something space.
Yeah, space themed. Thank you again for plunging into the dark expanse of the endless void and pulling out something beautiful and worthwhile, which was the goal all along. We didn't know where we were going, but we were able to slingshot off the immense gravity of these amazing works and create something beautiful.
Nicely put. All right. Thanks so much for coming, everyone. We'll see you. And then if you're in the class, just hang on for 2 seconds.
Please take the food. I don't want it.
If you are a member of our class, just hang on Zoom for 1 minute so I can just wrap up class stuff with you, and the rest of you are welcome to take off. If you are a member of the class, this is our last meeting. We don't meet on Wednesday, so this is it for you. Enjoy the freedom. And
There is no final. You are free to go.
Yeah, you're not. But if you are going to, return next semester, I hope a number of you do. It's always good when that happens. We'd love to do that. We have a lot of our editorial positions, like we tend to revisit options in those. So if you're interested in becoming an editor or a different kind of editor, please come back. Also, though, the print issue, if you aren't returning to staff next semester or will continue on Zoom, we'll find a way to get you the issue. We know who you are and we will be in contact. So be looking for that email in January so we can make sure you get a copy if you need it mailed or you need to pick it up. Great work, you guys. This was a really fresh staff. A lot of new people doing a lot of neat things, but I always think the launch party makes it all feel, it's nice if you can hold the issue. I will grant that. But it's also pretty amazing to hear how you've impacted all of these people who are so excited to have been a part of the issue. So I hope you feel really good about the work you've done in here. It's so impressive and I couldn't be prouder of you. So thanks so much and enjoy the lack of work you have to do, at least for one of your classes for the rest of the semester, and have a good holiday break, everyone. I'll hopefully see some of you next semester. So, all right, later. All right, Zoom is going up. Thank you, contributors. All right, I am doing end. And goodbye.